The Mello TV Evening News at 8 is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Coronavirus is in Jamaica, and I know you feel scared and worried. But you can't let COVID-19 divide us. Coronavirus infects all kinds of people. It doesn't discriminate. So why should you? When someone coughs or sneezes or shows signs of the virus, tell them to call 888-1-LOVE immediately. And remember, stay 3 feet away, but don't attack or disrespect them, because we're all in this thing together. Come on, Jamaica, cut the hate and don't discriminate. Let us stand together and fight COVID-19 as one family, one nation.
Tonight, the two early front-runners for the presidency of the opposition People's National Party (PNP), Lisa Hanna and Mark Golding, confirmed yesterday that they will be vying to succeed Dr. Peter Phillips when internal elections are held on November 7. Minister of National Security, in condemning the brutal attacks on the security forces, say that the security forces will not be intimidated and will be pushing back harder against criminal elements.
But we're not going to allow them to not only hurt the families of the security force officers, but hurt Jamaicans. We're going to take every step required to apprehend them.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Detective Sergeant Petrea Rowe, is calling for mandatory prison sentences for criminals that shoot or kill police officers and vulnerable citizens.
We certainly believe that whilst criminals are not afraid of death, they are certainly afraid of long sentences. And we are saying no less than 40 to 50 years.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has reported that over the past 24 hours, the country has recorded another 153 positive cases of COVID-19 and 4 additional COVID-19 related deaths. Good evening. Lisa Hanna and Mark Golding, the two early front-runners for the presidency of the opposition People's National Party (PNP), confirmed yesterday that they will be vying to succeed Dr. Peter Phillips when internal elections are held on November 7 of this year. Mr. Golding last Friday had expressed his intention to vie for the presidency of the PNP through his social media page. In a release yesterday, Ms. Hanna said she is ready to offer herself to become the PNP president after careful consideration, prayer, and a discussion with her family, constituents, and fellow comrades. She further affirms that she knows the challenges ahead, but she is ready. Yesterday, the PNP's National Executive Council, NEC, met at the Jamaica Conference Center in downtown Kingston. In other news, Minister of Education, Youth and Information Favour Williams, accompanied by Minister of State Robert Nesta Morgan and other senior education ministry officers, visited the family of 9-year-old Bianca Spence to offer condolences and the ministry's support after she succumbed to stab wounds early Saturday morning. The police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of the grade 3 Roseau primary student, allegedly by suicide, which reportedly occurred about 5 a.m. Saturday. Bianca was rushed to the Bustamante Hospital for Children, where she died. In consoling, the family, Minister Williams said Bianca's passing was a very distressing and a terrible blow to the family, and assured the child's mother, Amoon Francis, of the ministry's support through counseling and other areas.
Right now, but we're here to show you that we care enough to be here and to offer the support of the ministry to the family for counseling and so on, because it's going to hit you very hard. It might not have happened yet, but it's going to happen. And we want to be there to ensure that we hold your hands, the hands of the members of your family, to help to carry them through this valley that you're going through right now.
State Minister Morgan said that this was a tragedy that no one expected or could properly prepare for, but as fathers, mothers, and representatives of the people, they were there to offer a supportive shoulder.
Nobody can ever be prepared for. And our duty as representatives of the people, as human beings, as fathers, as mothers, as friends, is to be your shoulder, your support. That even though we have no comprehension of the pain you're feeling, we cannot contemplate what you're going through. And it would be very presumptuous of us to even try to pretend to. All we can do is offer ourselves as your support, offer our prayers, and whatever it is that we need to do as a government, as a community, as representatives, as human beings, as persons, as parents, recognizing that your loss is our loss. We've lost a big part of our future as a society. So we're here today to offer our support and to assure you that we stand with you, even though we may not be able to feel what you feel. We understand what you feel.
First responders from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency also visited the family. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson and other members of the High Command of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF are condemning the killing of one of their members in the line of duty. Dead is 27-year-old Constable Kemar Francis of the Hunts Bay Police Station. Constable Francis was a member of a team of officers on patrol on Maxfield Avenue when they responded to reports of gunfire shortly before midnight on Friday. A release from the police high command said that during the incident, one of the shooters, 28-year-old Shavon Johnson, otherwise called Bun Waste, was also shot dead by the police. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has also expressed deep sadness at the killing of Constable Francis. Mr. Holness said he was heartbroken for Kemar's family, who must now endure immeasurable grief following his death, and he is deeply saddened and disturbed by the news that yet another member of the security forces has been gunned down. He also said that the killing of members of our security forces represent an attack on the Jamaican state, and that the series of attacks on security forces cannot be treated as coincidental. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for St. Andrews Southwestern Angela Brown-Burke visited the area following the incident and, in speaking with our news team, said that the attack on the security forces is of great concern.
Coming on the heels of the attack on the police security forces a couple of weeks ago, a few days ago really, I think we all would have to be concerned. So I first of all want to send my sympathies to members of the security forces. I know that this must be a particularly difficult time for them. In the community, well, in all of Southwest St. Andrew, we know that over the last couple of weeks or so that there has been heightened tension, and a number of members in the community have been calling me about that. So we know that the police have been stretched and that they have been hard at work in the community, trying to keep the community safe. We regret and condemn any attack on the police while they're doing their job, particularly. And I believe that too many of us depend on them to keep our community safe for us to be okay with this. I want to encourage them to continue to do all they can to keep our community safe. We are depending on that. And I know that a number of individuals in the community have also asked me to express our sympathies to them. The truth is that we are at a time when we have to make sure that we continue the fight against crime in our communities.
Mrs. Brown-Burke also said that she is calling for a plan to ensure that everyone is safe, including members of the security forces.
Well, what I would be calling for would be a proper engagement of the security forces in terms of a plan for the general area. It has been an area where I've been concerned about the level of criminal activities, and I have been concerned about how we keep our community safe and the members of the community safe. I think that that is still a concern for many of us, heightened of course by what we have been seeing in terms of individuals coming after members of the security forces. And I would want to encourage the government to make sure that the officers have all the material, equipment, tools to keep our community safe and to help them in terms of whether it is the technology, the information gathering, and just every single thing that they need to do a good job.
Still in related story, the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, in condemning the brutal attacks on the security forces, says that the security forces will not be intimidated and will be pushing back harder against criminal elements.
As the police get more effective in apprehending the high-value criminals, they're going to be pushed back. What I can say on behalf of the police, they're not going to be intimidated, and we're going to push harder, because we're not going to allow them to not only hurt the families of the security force officers, but for Jamaicans. We're going to take every step required to apprehend them and lock down these criminals. Of course, in this case, what catches the eye is the guy who pulled the trigger, but that's a small part of it. It caused the loss of a life, and that cannot be undervalued. What is really the organizers of this criminal activity, that is really the challenge, and we have to find the resources to find them. In many cases we have a good idea, but we need to accumulate evidence. Unfortunately, they stay far from the triggers, they pay the bills, and they hire the guys and mislead the youngsters. And that is the group that we have to focus on. And indeed, the Commissioner and the head of the JDF and MOCA is combining their resources to begin to accumulate, well, to continue to accumulate evidence on these kind of individuals, but they are the ones we have to put away and get off the streets.
In the meantime, Shadow Minister of National Security Fitz Jackson, likewise in condemning the murder of Constable Francis and Army Private Renil King of the Jamaica Defence Force JDF, said the murder of the lawmen speaks to the brazenness of criminals who, it seems, are determined to carry out their illegal operations, no matter what, even if it means facing down the state with deadly force. The Shadow Minister said regular policing in the face of hardened criminals with high-powered weaponry and who show no sign or fear to challenge the state is not enough to protect the lives of our security personnel and the Jamaican people. Still on this story, Chairman of the Police Federation, Detective Sergeant Petrea Rowe, is calling for mandatory prison sentences of no less than 40 to 50 years for criminals that shoot or kill police officers or vulnerable citizens.
Certainly our call is not necessarily for death penalty. I'm not necessarily a proponent of the death penalty. In fact, I suspect that that handle was created because of the close association with capital punishment or capital crime and the issue of death penalty. Certainly we are aware from our interaction, certainly over my 15 years in the force, that death is no deterrent for criminals in this country. And certainly in most of the interaction, if not all of the interaction, where gunmen challenge police and our officers are either shot and injured or killed, the criminal suspects are killed in turn, and that has not deterred criminals from shooting at police officers and killing our colleagues. Certainly what the Police Federation called for is a strong imposition of the capital crime provisions in the Offences Against the People's Act, for there to be mandatory prison sentencing for criminal offenders who shoot at the police or kill our colleagues, or who have committed heinous crime against vulnerable citizens in this country. We certainly believe that whilst criminals are not afraid of death, they are certainly afraid of long sentences. And we are saying no less than 40 to 50 years sentence mandatory when they kill or shoot police officers or vulnerable citizens in this country.
Detective Sergeant Rowe, in memorializing Constable Francis, described him as a promising young officer.
It is sad, and they, as a police force, we mourn the loss of a young constable, Kemar Francis, who left deep rural Manchester to join the police force to serve, protect, and reassure the people of Jamaica, and was killed because of it. A day after, a JDF soldier was killed, and we sympathize with his family as well as the family of our colleague. A young man who has demonstrated good work, worth, and conduct, demonstrated tremendous promise, characterized as a pleasant and respectful and disciplined young man, and he was serving the people of Jamaica when he was killed by a criminal who had no remorse or no deterrent at all, to shoot after a police vehicle, killing this young constable. We believe that this is something that the country should speak out against. We believe that every well-thinking and law-abiding Jamaican should resist attacks against the state in this fashion. We believe that the level of resistance that we are seeing towards police officers is heavily influenced by the posture that the government take towards police welfare, police service, and the posture that people in civil society take towards police officers.
In other news, the St. Anne police have launched an investigation into the vandalizing of a police vehicle in the Parrytown community over the weekend. It is reported that at about 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, a police team was on patrol in the community when they observed what appeared to be a party in progress in breach of both the Disaster Risk Management and Noise Abatement Acts. When the officers arrived at the location where the illegal event was taking place, given the nature of the terrain, the police vehicle was parked along the main road and the officers proceeded on foot to the venue. The officers instructed that the music be turned off, warned the patrons, and instructed them to go home. A man who was later identified as the promoter of the event became boisterous and insisted that the party should not end. When the police attempted to arrest him, he fled to a nearby yard where the police team proceeded to take him into custody. While the promoter was being arrested, the police reported that a group of angry patrons who were leaving the event descended upon the police vehicle, hurling boulders and other missiles into the windscreen and other windows, as well as slashing the tires. The vehicle was eventually wrecked to the police station. The promoter of the party, 31-year-old Rashant Lawrence, was arrested and charged with breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act and resisting arrest. The St. Anne police are asking for persons who have any information that might assist in their investigation to come forward and share what they know by calling the St. Anne's Bay Police at 876-972-2211, Police 119 emergency number, or Crime Stop at 311. Members from the Security Ministry along with political representatives visited the communities of Glendale and Huenden communities following complaints of a rise in incidents of theft. And we have more on this story with Colleen Mee.
Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang and political representatives toured the Glendale and Huenden communities in Kingston, following concerns raised by residents about thieves plaguing these communities. In speaking with our news team, Dr. Chang expressed that Commissioner and his team are looking into how best they can control the problem of theft in these communities and others in the corporate area.
The corporate area is in fact providing a challenge, and I know the Commissioner and his team will look at how we can control that problem. Corporate area and North St. Catherine, our two areas. Part of the long-term solution is still a proposal, but it's not just a name change. The establishment of the Metropolitan Division is going to be critical to getting sustainable reduction in crime in Kingston. When it becomes a recurring issue, sometimes some residents don't bother to report. As I heard this evening, some people were frustrated that they didn't get the kind of response they want. So part of my presence here this evening is to reassure the residents we are concerned, we will respond, and we take steps to correct the problem. Because fear of crime is one of the big challenges we face in society, and this is the kind of activity that instills fear in the community. Despite of the high murder rate we have been surviving on, it's because of the nature of the gang wars large blocks of society are not as fearful because they're not part of gangs. When you begin to threaten people in their homes, then there's a major fear. And that's something we have to correct and take steps to correct quickly and decisively. Work with the police in sync, and as we get our Jamaica up to begin to have them collaborate in establishing venues for the kind of surveillance we want. But the community involvement is crucial to prevent this kind of thing. But we want to keep the citizens engaged in what we're doing and to give them the confidence to work with the police. Because that's half of the battle, is citizens feeling confident to talk to the police and the police respond accordingly.
Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Northwestern Dr. Nigel Clark said that one key strategy will involve the visibility of communities through Jamaica Eye Gear.
This area is a priority area along with all of St. Andrew South for the constabulary forces and for the security apparatus in Jamaica. That the key to the strategy is going to be to ensure that we have visibility through the expansion of Jamaica Eye here and through ensuring increased resources and mobilization for the police station at Duane Parish. I want all residents of Three Oaks and of Glendale and of Huened to know that your concerns are our concerns, and the fact that you have been experiencing these incidents, we want to bring that experience, to a halt, and with the commitment of the security forces and the leadership of the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Chang, all residents can have confidence that we will get there. And as your Member of Parliament, I'll certainly be supporting that initiative, along with Councillor Andrew Harris and with the team from the North-West St. Andrew Executive.
Councillor of Huenden Division, Andrew Harris, in speaking with our news team, expressed that residents are happy to see the type of attention that have been materialized from Minister Chang and Dr. Clark.
I'm just thankful to the media, because if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have had this response. It was a very quick and sharp response from Minister Chang, and of course my own MP, Dr. Nigel Clark. It would be remiss of him not to jump in as well. So they were all here, and I'm thinking that the residents of Glendale are feeling a little bit more reassured based on what they would have heard not too long ago. Well, for one, they are very happy to see the sort of support that has come from the government. And based on what I overheard, or I heard, I should say, there is a likelihood that we will be getting some increased patrols. There is a fence that I've committed to that have been spoken about to. Again, I should say, to get the fence erected so that we can get some of these guys out of the community. And there are other initiatives that, I will not divulge much about now, but there's certainly a plan to police this area and Huenden housing scheme going forward.
Reporting from Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Thanks, Colleen. The Westmoreland Police are appealing to members of the public to share information that can assist investigators to identify and arrest the man who allegedly attacked the manager of a financial institution with a gun in Savannah-Lamar in the parish on July 3. The man, whose picture detectives have obtained from security footage, allegedly pounced upon the manager in the parking lot about 3:30 p.m., brandished a handgun and fired several gunshots. The manager was not hurt. However, a motor car that was in the vicinity was damaged. Investigators are now appealing to anyone who may have information that can assist them to bring the perpetrator to book and to contact the Savannah-Lamar Police at 876-955-2758, Crime Stop at 311, the Police 119 number, or the nearest police station. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has reported that over the past 24 hours, the country has recorded another 153 positive COVID-19 cases, taking the overall total of positive cases in the island to 6,170. The ministry has also reported that 4 more patients have died from the virus, bringing the total number of COVID-19 deaths to 93. The deceased are said to be a 69-year-old woman from the parish of St. Anne. Also, 3 other deaths have been placed under investigation. The new COVID-19 cases with ages ranging from 1 month to 96 years include 70 males and 83 females, with the sex classification being under investigation. The cases hail from Kingston and St. Andrew with 53, St. Catherine with 32, Manchester 1, Hanover 2, St. Anne 8, St. James 25, Portland 5, St. Mary 6, St. Thomas 2, Trelawney 1, Westmoreland 11, and Clarendon 6. Also, 35 more persons have recovered from the disease for a total of 1,741. The country now has a total of 4,250 active cases. The ministry also reported that 149 persons have been hospitalized, 26 are moderately ill, and 10 critically ill. In other news, in recognition of Tourism Awareness Week, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett outlined the focus on rural development as part of the reimagined tourism product amid the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have Colleen May with more on this story.
Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett has expressed awareness of the tourism sector's significant contribution to the island's wide-scale growth and development as the country poised to meet Tourism Awareness Week, which runs from September 27 to November 3. Bartlett in his statement said that this year's theme, Tourism and Rural Development, highlights the unique role that tourism plays in providing opportunities outside of big cities and preserving cultural and natural heritage all around the world.
Tourism is one of the world's largest industrial sectors, driving job creation, economic growth, and infrastructural development. In the last 7 months, however, the COVID-19 pandemic and its containment measures have severely tested the resilience of the global tourism economy. Unfortunately, both at home and abroad, COVID-19 has resulted in major job losses, while the fall-off in business and earnings has been staggering. Probably, the single positive takeaway from this COVID crisis is that it has highlighted tourism's critical importance to the national development. Tourism is a heartbeat of our economy and will serve as the catalyst of Jamaica's post-COVID-19 economic recovery. As we reimagine our tourism product, in these uncertain times, the focus on rural development seems quite timely. Tourism in rural areas will provide key opportunities for recovery as these communities seek to bounce back from the harsh economic setback caused by the pandemic.
Minister Bartlett further said that in the next 5 years, more major projects are set to come on stream.
Within the next 5 years, we will establish a special community tourism unit in the Ministry of Tourism to work with communities and hotels to expand participation by community members while providing authentic experiences for all persons visiting Jamaica. We will also explore the development of new destinations in St. Thomas, the South Coast, and other parts of Jamaica that have untapped tourism potential. At the same time, we will continue to build out a framework of support that will include product development, training, infrastructural improvement, and access to finance for rural communities. We are committed to adding depth and diversity to our tourism product, while providing economic viability in communities beyond Jamaica's traditional resort areas. This will lay the foundation for a more equitable, sustainable and inclusive tourism sector that benefits all Jamaicans.
Reporting from Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Thanks, Colleen. And those were the stories making news. I'll return with the recap. And we'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.